All right. So first I want to start off. I caused some mild panic and some major panic in some people with the email I sent out. So I'm gonna go and explain this a little bit um, for people that didn't understand. Okay, so FEB has always had a default shirt. What the default shirt means is if you're gonna own one shirt and only one shirt, um, this is the shirt you should have, right? For a long time, that was the navy blue, um, traditional navy blue with the red, white, blue collar, and that was that way until 7 or 8 years ago. And then we switched to the black shirts, the black shirt, the black collar with the white piping on it. Um, and since we've done that, that black shirt came out, I think in like 1999, 2000, 2001, somewhere in that era. Um, and it's kind of there's been a lot of iterations of the black shirt since then. And we are gonna we've kept that black shirt for that time. But we're gonna switch now. So what this means about switching or the dress code switching is that um, if you have one shirt in your collection, it should be this black shirt with the gray piping on the side. Um, if you show up with as an umpire, you show up to a game and you don't have the same color shirt. So this black shirt and the traditional black shirt like are not the same. And if you're wearing them on the field with your partner, you're not matching, right? It doesn't look professional. It looks, it just doesn't look good, right? It's not up to the standards that we're trying to set as an organization. So there is a transition period. What it do, oh, and then the reason I put the other polo blue shirt in there as well, that we're switching. If you have a polo blue shirt, you should get this one, right? I've heard complaints and I've heard people say like, guys don't have the same shirts anymore. And we've kind of stayed out of like, our website, it hasn't been updated yet, but what it does say is that tells you what kind of hat to wear to go with the shirts, and beyond that was just kind of left it, figure it out with your partner, but the black shirt's the default. So if you have a light blue shirt, this is different than softball. This is just a baseball. I know some softball guys in here too, but if you have a light blue shirt, it should be this one. Um, Softball is different. They have a different style, and I'm not one to answer softball questions. I'm not the best person, but baseball, summertime, if you're wearing a lighter shirt, you're going to wear a polo blue shirt. It should be the light this one on the screen. And then if you're going to have a black shirt, you should get this one, right? It's kind of a transition year this year. We're not going to make everybody go out and buy a shirt in the off season, but if you're in the market for a new shirt this year, you should get this black one. If you're in the market for a light blue shirt, you should get this light blue shirt. And then following next year, then that'll be the official like you should have this shirt so you can match your partner. Questions I got, guys that work, they're on the edges of our organization. They work for other ones. It's fine. You could be. I told the one guy, you can wear whatever shirt you want, but just if you don't have the shirt, you should talk with your partner ahead of time to make sure you get a shirt that does match, so you look professional on the field. So, um, high school season, you're going to wear a jacket for the majority of it, anyway, right? So the jackets you could sometimes those borderline days when you have the plate guy wants to wear a shirt and the base guy wants to wear a jacket, that's fine. You can do that. Just so in that case, you'd want to wear if the plate guy's wearing a black shirt, the base guy should wear a black jacket. Or if the plate guy's wearing a navy blue shirt, the base guy should wear a navy blue jacket. So there's you can do that. You can be at different levels, right? Um, I don't wear a jacket behind the plate. I don't feel the need for it. And I just, I get too warm if I wear a jacket. So I will wear a long sleeve shirts. Those long sleeve shirts are only for the plate. It's a personal, pet peeve of mine. Um, watching people on the bases wear those, like, it's either bases are you have different levels of jackets you can wear, or you can wear a short sleeve shirts, but you shouldn't wear the long sleeve shirt on the bases, just the plates. You shouldn't wear a shirts, a long sleeve Under Armour shirt underneath your short sleeve shirts. That's what the players do. That's not what the umpires do. Make sure you go through and figure that. And again, if you're brand new and you don't want to spend, $500 in uniform costs, I get it. Like, you'll get there, right? But just, go through and invest in equipment and buy the right stuff. And it just makes you looking professional on the field is going to make a big difference for you. It's gonna buy you some time, even when you don't know what you're doing sometimes, right? And it all of us have been there. Like, it'll buy you some respect. If you see a coach for the first time, you haven't, veterans guys you've never seen, you're going into an area on the weekend, you haven't seen those coaches before. It's a brand new coach at a school. You have no history with them. There's a lot to first impressions that you make and how you look on the field, and um, having dirty shirts, just looking unkept, it's going to make a difference, right? Um, that's why I've cleaned my umpire shoes, my plate shoes every game, since I knew I was supposed to, right? Um, and 90% of the time you take 4 steps on the field and they're dirty, right? But when you're walking up, they can see, and it makes a difference, right? The little bit of effort it takes to do that stuff makes a big difference, right? Wash, make sure your pants are clean and not wrinkled, and your hat doesn't have salt stains on it, or it just looks, taking the time for your appearance walking on the field, it's going to help you in the long run. Um, Only to a certain point, right? You can't have a terrible game, no matter how well you're dressed. If you have a terrible game, you're going to hear about it. But it does help. So to answer your question, I got quite a few questions. I'm sure I confused people that didn't ask questions, but this is what I meant by that email. There's a promo code, so if you go to buy these through Purchase Officials, you get, I believe it's a 10% discount. FEB 2024 is still live. That will switch over closer to the clinic to FEB 2025. So yes, so FEB patches and numbers are acceptable for IHSA contests. Only spot that would not be true would be games assigned specifically by the IHSA. So postseason games, if they're assigning you, then you should wear IHSA gear. And IHSA is their official stance, from it started with Craig, but with Craig Anderson, but then with Sam Knox, is wear a shirt that matches your partner during regular season, and navy blue in the postseason. So yeah, so you can this shirt with the numbers is perfectly fine. All right, anything else on the new shirts? Right. Clinics, we are getting, Aaron, so are they going to be available to a garage sale? Maybe. I'm not sure exactly what is there or what's going to get donated at the clinics. So there could be some of these shirts, there might not be. It all depends what the stock is and what guys turn in. So Tim Garay is the one that has the stock of that and inventories that and looks at it. So I'm not sure. There could be some of these shirts, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, Also, when you first start, unless you're in my area over here, in Rockford, all the underclass games are all one man, so it's not as much of a worry for you to match your partner in those games. So you can get away with a different color shirt, at least when you're starting off, and then before you start bringing some money, some money in that you can invest in some new gear. We're holding two IHSA certified clinics. We got Belvedere is back this year. It is at Belvedere High School this year. The old high school, not Belvedere North, where we've had it in the past. And at Wheaton College, like we do, that we have each year for the last quite a few years. That link can get you registered, and you can get signed up for one of those days. Both days are 9 to 2 for the clinic. Registration starts at 8 o'clock both days. It'll be done by, I think Belvedere is actually 1:30. The lunch is a little shorter, and just because of the setup. But yeah, those clinics are 9 to 2 each day. So you can register for the same. See if I can copy this if everybody needs it. You can register for both clinics on the same link. Uh, baseball and base guys are both baseball and softball. You cannot attend a clinic on the same day for two sports. So we've had a couple people I got to reach out to that signed up for baseball and softball at Wheaton at the same time. You cannot do both in the same day. They will not give you credit for that. So you have to pick one or the other. For the Wheaton clinic on March 8th. The clinic in Belvedere is just baseball. So, but if you are, if you're thinking you need both of them, you might, need to come. You need to do only one clinic in a day to be able to get credit. Otherwise, the IHSA will not give you credit for both. All right, so this one, I get random questions like this all the time in my email, and they're good questions. And so go back. I got this one maybe an hour ago. So I thought, let's see if I can do this here. I thought, let's throw it out to the crowd. I even made a Google form for you. I'm going to put it in the chat here. All right, so we're going to get the crowdsourcing in here. This is from Tom Brophy. Can't remember how to present my slideshow here. So when a pitcher goes to his mouth with men on base and doesn't wipe off, okay, I'm assuming, Tom, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're assuming he's not on the rubber during this time, like he's not engaged on the pitching rubber. Is it a
That's
balk?
correct.
Okay, so pitcher just anywhere on the field, right? Goes to his mouth and doesn't wipe his hand. Is that a balk? So Tom gives where he thinks on that. Some may call it one, myself included. But is this supported by rule? Okay. He gives you some clues of where to look. 624D says that any illegal pitch is a balk, covered by 621A through D. But going to the mouth in 621E is an illegal act, but is covered under the balk. But it is covered under the balk definition. So go ahead and go to that Google form, and I'll pull that up. Let's see. So that question is on the Google form too. I gotta find where I put that. All right, can everybody see the pie chart there? All right, so we got 4 people so far. Okay. Is it a balk? Is it not a balk? Is it nothing? Now I want some discussion on this. So I want some, if you unmute your microphone and put it in the chat, kind of let me know what you think. I know how I would handle it, right? Just wondering what everybody thinks. Oh, yeah. We'll zoom in here. All right, now we got 80%. Oh, no, changing here. Let the responses come in. But if you want to throw what you think in the chat as well. No, so he's not on the rubber. So, and we'll get to that deceiving part. But this is the pitcher not on the rubber, goes to his mouth, licks his fingers, and then doesn't wipe it off on his pants or uniform, whatever, and goes straight to the ball. And then gets on the rubber, and then the ball's in play, and he goes. What do we got? Looks like it's getting close to 0. Yep. All right, 50-50 right now. And if somebody can pull up that rule, 621A through D. I got my book right here. That's the case book.
I have that rule in front of me.
Okay, what's it say?
Rule 621 Echo is bringing the pitching hand in contact with the mouth without distinctly wiping off the pitching hand before it touches the ball. Um, for penalty for infraction E, a ball shall be awarded each time a pitcher violates this rule and subsequently engages the pitching plate.
Okay. All right, so does that okay, so that gives a specific for infraction for action E, a ball should be awarded.
Correct. That is correct. A ball, not a balk.
Okay. So the answer on this would be, right? So that's the rule book answer, right? How do you handle this, right? Like what do you do when you see this? Like what do you say? So it doesn't have to be Andy, you don't have to go, but if anybody like how do you handle this in a game? Like how when you see it happen, how are you going to call it? What are you going to say? What are you going to do? How are you going to explain it to a coach? Don't be afraid to jump in.
I would say talk to the coach first, I guess, because it would be a fundamental flaw. So then you would uh, maybe perhaps talk to the coach.
What are you going to say to the coach?
Your kids, your player is spitting on the ball, or spitting on his hand and then touching the ball, which is I would call a ball. And can you can speak to him and tell him about this technique or and
Okay.
leave it like that. Yeah.
Okay. Who else has got something?
Yeah, I have something.
Go ahead, Bill.
So I would typically, if I see it, whether I'm on the plate or in B or C, I would call as soon as I see it because he's not in the rubber yet. I just call time, and then I would replace the baseball. Same if the pitcher takes the baseball and takes it to the dirt directly rather than the dirt to his hands, then to the baseball. And I would just call time and then kill it, put it in a new baseball, and just remind him that he's got to wipe before he goes to the baseball and gets on the rubber.
Okay.
Alan, I actually have the case book in
Nope.
front of me if you want
Nope.
to read
Don't say it
that.
yet. Not yet. You're stealing my thunder, Andy.
Sorry.
It's okay. Who else has got anything? All right. So, oh, Tom, go ahead.
No, Alan, I was just going to say if you're behind the plate or an A, it's a little tougher. Do you need to call something? Is the first question. Are you going to call it a balk or are you going to call it a ball for an illegal infraction? If I'm in B or C, I may discreetly talk to the pitcher to let him know that he's got to wipe off before I call anything.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, my Tom, I'm getting a little feedback. Can you mute your microphone, please? Um, I so I agree with Bill is how I was. So I'm just happy that I found it in the casebook that I'm just not making this up, right? So, you have two options, right? Um, if the pitcher goes to his mouth, doesn't wipe off and goes to the ball, right? You have the case book actually gives you direction on it, right? Is to that you call time, okay, and you get a new ball, okay. If the pitcher does that and then engages the rubber, okay, you call time and award a ball. You add a ball to the count, okay. Um, I don't think there's any time you would call this a balk. Um, I remember being in a rules interpretation meeting. I don't remember when or where. It was one of the. It was when they used to do the live rules interpretation meetings at the end of the clinics, and one of the collisions was selling heavy that this should be a balk. And I remember them being a ginormous argument about it in the meeting. But I don't think that is supported by rule. I think what he was saying, if I remember right, and this was a long time ago, but we got a question about, Wayne asked, is it different if he's on the mound or the rubber? If he's engaged the rubber and takes his hand and goes to his mouth, right? Um, I'm probably going to call that a balk because it's part of starting. His hands at his side, he comes up like that's him starting his motion, right? And he doesn't continue his motion. I'm probably going to call a balk on that. But this is and I'm glad there's actually a case play to support it, is that you're able to preventive officiate it, right? If for the lack of a better term, like this is the casebook is telling you that if you see it happen, to fix it before it affects the game, right? It doesn't affect the game unless he's throwing a pitch, getting, spitting, having, saliva on the ball that's going to affect the way the ball moves, or, whatever, get a better grip, whatever it is, right? If you can stop it before it becomes an illegal act, then I would do that. So if you see it and you can stop it before he gets on the rubber, do that. If he you see it, you can't stop it before he steps on the rubber, then call time, okay, and say, point at and say that is add a ball to the counts, give the counts, and be ready for an explanation. You can do this as the base guy too. Like it's probably not the best, but if you see something like it's the last resort to do that. That the pitcher's usually the plate guys, but it's something you can stop. I wouldn't call a ball as a base umpire, but I could say, hey, throw that ball in and get a new one, right? I might not even say what happened, and to say, hey, you got to wipe off, go get a new ball, right? And just leave it at that. Explain it if you need to. But then yeah, so on this situation, the one that was in the email is that's the correct way to do it. I would say if he's going to, I don't know, Bill, I'd like your opinion on this one too, Vincent, if you can. But if you're engaged on the rubber and then you go to your mouth while you're engaged on the rubber, I would call balk just because it's like part of starting his pitching motion. I don't see how that would not be something there. So, Bill, what do you got on that?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, if he's on the rubber and he starts moving his hand, um, then you've got into a box situation to go to his mouth and then bringing his hand back down. I've got him either starting his wind up or doing something that could be deceptive to the runner. So I've either got an illegal pitch and stop it right there, or I've got block if there's a man on and he's in this set position.
I like that too. Thanks for reminding me on that. So we had a question from Aaron about, is it a move to deceive the runner? So you have to be careful with that, with the way you talk about balks, right? Um, is it a balk if the pitcher deceives the runner? Yes and no, right? If you if the pitcher never could deceive the runner, you'd never have a pickoff, right? You can do things that are within the rules to deceive the runner, right? you're not going to see, I don't, at least I again, not 100% sure about anything in life, but you're not going to find in the rule book that says um, it's a balk if the pitcher deceives the runner, right? That is, um, it's come out of, it's, baseball jargon, but not umpire jargon, right? It's player coach jargon. Because a lot of times, when there's a balk, it could be, there's rules designed to level the playing field for the runner, right? Hand, at the back, on the side, you can't start and stop, and then, you can't start your motion and stop. And there's those things that, yes, that the reason that was made a balk in the rules was because it deceived the runner, and it's not fair to the runner for those things, right? But it's not a criteria for what a balk is. It's just the rule book describes what you can't do, right? So I just that's one of those things to kind of flush um out of your explanations, right? And out of your verbiage that you use when you're on the field, because it's hard to defend that, right? Like, there could be it just, use the rule book things like, if it, like in this case, right? If that pitcher goes to his mouth, right? And you call a balk, right? Your explanation to the coach is he started his motion, he stopped. That's it, right? His hand came up, like he started his motion, he went back down, started his motion, he stopped, right? It was all one umpire mentor of mine, named Bob Jenkins. He would say, I think it was like, you should be able to explain a balk in 5 words or less. So don't get into this deceived runner and all this stuff, right? He didn't pause, right? He started and stopped. He didn't step off, you know, or those, you can be pretty quick with it, right? Explain to action, um, of what happened. The box are pretty, is that one instance where you can do that. So not limiting to 5 words, but I think that's, Bob would always, he would train, he could talk at clinics, and that's, one thing that stuck with me is, be short and simple on the box, because you can explain it in, simpler terms, and then you won't get tongue tied on things, because a lot of times, unless it's if it's, more of a technical balk, right, or, a little not as obvious of a balk, people don't understand it as well, and they go crazy. Like, just like you call runner interference, I think every runner interference, or running lane interference in a major league game leads to an ejection, right? Because people don't understand. So simple explanations and try to keep things to the rule book wise will help you when you have odd situations or confrontations, or do things on the field. It's it just makes life easier if you can learn to explain those things without not like I'm not doing a very good job of explaining what I'm trying to say right now, because I'm saying a lot of words, but keep it as simple as you can. All right, so we're gonna jump into videos. I have like 7 or 8 of them. I did put the presentation in the chat, for those who want to follow along. I'm not sure how well I have. My wife's in her grad class right now too, so she's streaming. So I'm hoping the internet holds up here, but if not, you can pull that up and pull it on your own, and it should help you out. I tried to shorten these clips down, for the most part, where it's just showing the play. It's harder and harder to find videos online that are just the play and not somebody trying to make money off explaining the rule. So we'll try to clip that down as much as we can, but we'll get a little bit of that tonight. So we're going to watch the video through a couple times. I'll try to talk through and explain the situation. I cut the volume off of most of them, just because there's a lot of noise in the background that we don't need. But try to give your answer in the chat. Let it play through a couple times, let people process, and then you can start throwing in the chat what you think the answer is going to be. We'll talk about it, kind of see where it's at. But this should be interactive session here. So, all right, first video. All right, so we had Got a runner trying to score from second and home, play at the plate. And end up with a safe call. I'll watch it one more time through and then you can start putting your all right. Whoever said interference is not right on the video, because that's not a possibility on this. But what do we got? Do we have got the ball being the runner, tag down, tag him? What do you have? Why would this umpire not make an out call here? And what is the correct call on this play? Okay, Mark says safe. Who else? Who's got safe or out or obstruction? Right. So the safe people, make sure you say safe because of obstruction, or just safe. The runner was safe anyway. Right. Looks like pretty much most people, yep, safe obstruction, safe with no obstruction. Ultimately, so this has been a focus the last couple of years. Like, what is this? What can this catcher do without the ball? It's ultimately what the rule book defines and what we talked about. Like right here, is that runner okay where he's at? Let's go back just a second, right? Is he okay in that spot? I would say yes, because he sets up in the right spot, right? Somebody taught him, Dale, if you just go to my slideshow, it's the first slide number 5. It's gonna be in or out, depending on your bandwidth here. So the runner, what I can see here on the runner, this video is grainy even on where I pulled it from. So the runner is set up here with his left foot in front of home plate, right? That's where I'm sure he was taught to be. And it's going to be a spot where it gives the runner access to the plate, right? So the runner is not allowed to block the plate until they have the ball in their possession, right? They make this simple as possible. There's no active fielding. There's no active catching, receiving the ball, any of that stuff. In the high school rule book. So as before the ball gets there, he moves over, right, into the right-handed batter's box to catch the ball, right? That's where the throw is taking him, right? He's not allowed to be there unless he has the ball in his possession. So he moves there earlier. So now where he's standing, that runner doesn't have a place to go, right? He doesn't have access to the plate, right? He can be, if this catcher's up a little farther, right? If he's in fair territory, it's probably a safe place to be where he's not blocking access to home plate. Even though like he had to go there to catch the ball, right? He's still not yeah, Kevin, we'll get there in a second, right? This would be obstruction, right? But rule book, this is obstruction. Because of the obstruction, the runner is safe. Now, if we watch the home plate umpire here, right? The positioning wise, while we got a video up here, right? So it looks like we got a ball in left center field. Okay. The plate umpire was okay, go to look there, right? A starting point, right? If I got a partner, that ball, I have a partner that's in C on this play, right? And the ball is in left center field. All day, that is my partner's, the base umpire's ball, right? So I am not going to go up. He starts off, he's kind of in no man. He's still in the dirt circle, but he's kind of in no man's land. There's no need to be here, right? You can see everything you can see from left of the, right-handed batter's box as you can see in the catcher's box, right? So on plays of the plate, you should. So I suggest, right, like this is a bait. Even if it's a catch no catch, it's not your ball, right? So there's no need to be out there looking at it. Your responsibilities on this are: does R2 touch third base? And I need to be in a spot where I can make a call at the plate, right? So you can start at the point of the plate, really come out of your stance, and he gets to the right spot, right? But he had to backpedal and get there. Now he's rushed and he doesn't have time to read the play as much, right? So that you save those 5-6 steps that he's going to backpedal into the spot. If you're back in this position to start, you have time to read the play, where the throw's going, what's going to happen, right? So he's actually in a good spot here. There's nothing wrong with this, right? But what you want to do, he actually doesn't end up in a terrible spot, right? So this is you want to get into a spot. It's called the wedge, right? Ultimately, you want to be line yourself up so you're looking just like towards the left hip of the catcher, right? Because unless your catcher's left-handed, which I hope you don't have to deal with that, but like so, just about every catcher is going to be right-handed. The tag has to happen with his tag is going to happen with his glove hand, and that's why if you line yourself up, and get in a position where you're looking through the catcher's left hip, that's where the tag's going to happen almost every time, right? So that's what's being taught. That's the mechanic where you get in the best place to see a tag by a catcher on a play. The crash plays aren't a thing anymore, right? You're not allowed to blow up the catcher, any of that stuff. So that's where this has evolved. When I first started, I was taught to be first baseline extended on plays at the plate. Okay? That's what I was taught as a brand new umpire. Pretty quickly, pretty quickly it turned into third baseline extended, right? So on these plays, you would just stand here, like corner of, just behind the corner of the left-handed batter's box and watch the play again. Because that was most of the time that was a swipe tag, right? And that most of the time that was, kind of it would give you a good look at what happens on the play. And then it's evolved the last 5 or 6 years or so into the wedge play. It's kind of trickles down from the upper levels, and what those mechanics are. But the best place to be is line yourself up with the left tip of the catcher, and that will give you the best spot at a potential tag. If a crash play still happens, you have an out, right? And the catcher with the ball in front of him, you just got to make sure he has the ball and doesn't drop it. But don't be afraid to adjust and to move to get into the right spot. Don't get stationary, because you're going to get it's easy to get blocked out on these plays at the plate when the catcher moves, the position of the batter moves, those kind of things. So now if this, like for example, if this runner decides to come on the outside and kind of slide out to the outside and try to reach and touch the plate, he's going to take out the umpire where he's at. If you're moving with the catcher to that hip, you're going to end up being out of the way, and out of the slide if he does try to come around. But correct procedure on this, if you have this play, that all happens as soon as the tag happens. Nothing else, and there's nothing else going on. All the runners are stopped. You go time, that's obstruction. Point at the runner. You are safe. Okay, and be ready for the explanation of why. Okay. Umpire kind of like he got the right call, but he was a little hesitant and people weren't sure what's going on, right? Be demonstrative on this, right? Time, that's obstruction. Okay. And point at the runner, you're safe. If this happens differently and there's still runners going, right? You still acknowledge and say, hey, that's obstruction, right? You can, with the play live, that's obstruction, you're safe. Plays over, then you go, then if the other intervening plays happen, Then at the end of the play, go time, hide obstruction, and point at the runner, and he's safe. He was still around, right? And then be ready for the explanation. And the explanation on this was the catcher did not give access to the runner to home plate, and he was there without the baseball. That's that would be the short explanation to the coach. That one on why. Any questions on this one before we go to the next one?
Yeah, yeah. Is so is the play dead at that point? Like you referenced, if there was other plays going on, and say the catcher throws to second or third or something, and tags another kid out or something, is that continuation? Or do we stop the play there?
Yeah, so that's unique to high school baseball.
Yeah.
Obstruction calls, no matter what kind of obstruction is, in pro and college, there's two types of obstruction. High school, it's just one, so it's a delayed dead ball. So
Okay.
this play happens at home. And that runner that's on second now, or I think it's R1 or batter runner, tries to go to third. That catcher can still try to throw him out, right? The only caveat that was if this was malicious contact, I think the question comes in. If the runner blows up the catcher, then it would be malicious contact and you kill it, even though there was obstruction, called the runner out. So malicious contacts, this was not, it's hard. I'd say the I would say the only way, but it's hard to get up malicious contact on a legal slide, right? So here it's a legal slide. Contact is not malicious contact. Not all contacts malicious contact. If this runner comes in and his feet are high, right? He contacts the catcher above the knee. Then that would be malicious contact. If he slides super late, and he kicks the kid right in the kicks the catcher right in the shin, without touching the ground first, and kind of a karate kick, flying kick into him, then yeah, but just a normal hard slide, even a hard slide that slides into the catcher, and it wouldn't be malicious contact. It's got to be, I would say there's got to be some kind of intent to injure, right? That's where the knee goes high, or the foot goes high, or the slide is super late, trying to blow up the catcher, or running over the catcher. They would, but this one that I don't see anything that would be malicious contact on this one. All right, any other questions? All right. All right, so next one here.
Look at the throw. Yeah, they're trying to get the leg down, and it looked like they locked cleats there.
So
Look at the
watch it one through one more time.
Yeah, they're trying to get the.
So we have play at first. First baseman pulls his foot, catches the ball, lifts his left foot up, or moves his left foot, his right, be the first baseman's right foot, and makes contact with the batter before he gets to first base. Contact happens when he has the ball. And what do you got on this play? All right, so runner never touched first base, so I call nothing. So Kevin, you would call, so if you're going to call him safe, right? So you're saying you saying safe on this is that there was the batter didn't tag him and didn't touch first base before. So you would still say safe. Like even if you knew he didn't touch first, your call is still safe, right? When a runner passes a base without touching it, so I would say, so I word this right. The assumption is that he acquired the base or he passed the base. So you would still say safe even if you didn't touch, right? If you think he didn't touch first, then he should cut, they need to appeal that, right? So you'll call it just like a normal play, that he did touch it. So we have a couple safes. We have an out. Okay, Jameson, sorry. So you have an out first baseman had the ball when the contact was made and the runner did not step on the base. Okay. So um, just that contact with between the two of them, um, is not enough to be a tag, right? So, um, this was a weird one. This was one I didn't look at right away and thought, man, I got the answer on this one, right? So if so just what we have, um, just what we have on the play, right? Um, without any other intervening things happening, right? Um, the first baseman has the ball, right? So he can't obstruct anybody unless he has the ball, right? Um, another possibility would be malicious contact. Was there any intent or maliciousness on that? No, I think the first baseman was just trying to touch the base, right? And he tried to reach back and touch it and and missed, right? He didn't know where the runner was. Um, the runner missed first base, right? So if the defense was going to appeal that the runner missed first base, um, that needs to happen before the runner from first base gets back to the base, right? So that is up there and tag him and say, hey, he missed first base, right? To the whatever the calling umpire, who if it's one man or two man, whoever is responsible for that call. It's an appeal play, right? So he just like if you miss any other base, you got to go up and there's got to be an appeal, right? And it has to happen before that runner comes back and stands on first base, after he overruns it. Um, so the contact I think is nothing. Um, and then to get it out, the defense would have to, since the runner missed base, defense would have to um, get a tag on it. So would have to appeal it and tag the runner before they get back to first base. In two-man play at first, it's the base umpire, 100% of the time. So who would make the call? It's a base umpire's call. So they make the call. It's gonna be hard to see from B or C. But just do the best you can. If you guess you can get help, but I don't know how much help the plate umpire would be on this play, unless there's no other runners on. I guess could help a little bit, but it's gonna be hard to see. Just do the best you can on to make the call on this.
Question then for you, Alan.
Sure.
It appeared, at least from what I'm sorry, from
Oh,
at
go
least
ahead.
what I saw, it looks like the first baseman went back and touched the base.
Uh,
After they had the tango, looks like he touches the base there.
so
So
he does, right? But just touching the base is not enough for an appeal, right? So that runner has acquired that base, even if he didn't touch it. So he's past it. So it has to be an appeal, right? Like you just so because the runner so let's see if I can explain this the best way I can, right? So that runner is past the base. He's acquired it already. So that runner would have to that the first baseman would have to appeal and tag. He could appeal and step on the base, but just stepping on the base right there is not enough for an appeal, right? He has to he has to be appeal has to be intentional. He has to verbally tell, say, hey, I'm appealing. He missed first base, and then you can get him out. Um, so even just going past the base is acquiring it. But if did he touch it or not, then that's up to appeal, even on these plays at first base. All right, we'll go on to the next one. These next ones are a couple. I pulled these from Facebook, so they're a little sketchy here, but I think the next one should be from YouTube, so it should be a little better. Who's right on my screen? Please stop. This one's from the playoffs last year. Right, you can start putting in the chat if you want. Have a rule reference and have an explanation. All right. Somebody brave and want to explain this one? Okay. I got a couple running on the baseline. Inside the baseline, interfering with the throw. All right, so when so this is a good one too for verbiage to use, right? Um, on a play like this, we'll keep it, let it running. The runner, when is the runner required to be tied to a base path, right? So baseline isn't something we should use, that verbiage we shouldn't use in plays like this, because there is no baseline, right? The runner, it makes his own path when he runs. So ultimately the runner's restricted where he can run when there's a play being made on the runner, right? So ultimately, when the runner's in jeopardy of being tagged, all right, there's somebody's attempting to tag the runner, right? That is when he's required to be in a be in a be in a straight line between where he's at that time and the base he's running to, right? And then that's defined, the base path defined as 3 feet from the point where he's at in either direction. So a step and a lean, is kind of an interpretation of what that means. But one big step either direction, and anything more than that, then he's out of the path. But is Freddie Freeman, right? Is Freddie Freeman trying to tag Manny Machado? Is the first baseman trying to tag the runner? And that's no, right? He's not. There's no tag being attempted, right? When does he start running there, right? So if you watch this very beginning, when does he go? When does I went too far back? Where's he at when the throw happens? See if I can do this without all these ads popping up. Throw happens. Look where he's at. Okay. Is he trying to get in the way of the throw? 100%. There's no questioning that. I guess the question is, does it matter that he's trying to get in the way of the throw? Is it against the rules for him to try to get in the way of the throw? Right? So just him being him just being there, okay, I don't feel is against the rules in this way. Okay. If we're throwing our arms up and waving and intentionally trying to hit the ball as he's looking at it trying to go, yeah, that would be interference, right? But his positioning itself, okay, the base path and the baseline, baseline, base path, straight line between the bases doesn't matter in this situation, right? He could be running out to the outfield fence and be okay, right? He doesn't even have to run. He can just stand there, right? So just where he's at when this happens, right? So the criteria, what his running and where he's at, I feel is legal on this play. If I remember right, there's very heated discussion on this one in our FVB Facebook page. right? Well, my interpretation of this and the rule that what he did is perfectly legal, right? Does he intentionally move his head or move his arms or wave his arms or try to knock the throw down? I don't see that, right? Right? He's just getting in the way on purpose, right? So when this happened, so if somebody has an opposite opinion of that, like go ahead and throw it out there because again, this is debated a lot, right? But from looking at the rules and looking at the what the requirements of a runner are, I feel like this play is legal, right? It looks really weird and it um looks like it shouldn't be, right? That's usually a lot of times with baseball when somebody does something weird or something out of the ordinary. Most of the time it's wrong, right? It could be it's a rule violation, right? But on this one, if you really look at it, it's not. There's nothing wrong with this play, right? And as much as it pains me to say, Manny Machado made a smart play here, right? Might be the first one of his career, but he made a smart play, and you would this on this one, everybody be safe. Okay, questions go. Do you feel people might use this as running? Yes, I almost said if you say running lane interference, I was going to kick you out of the meeting, because running lane interference is very much misunderstood too, right? There's only one runner's running lane, and that is from home to first, right? That the running lane is only in play when there's a play being made to try to retire the runner, right? So if a throw is trying to retire the runner, that's the only time it's in there. So none of that. So it's very yes, it's on the field, and it's people think they understand, and I think that's why a lot of times there's arguments on when it is called and when it's not called. But yeah, I think the requirement of what the runner having to run straight to the base confuses, is a confusion on this because really, there's a skunk in the outfield play that's, you maybe see a video every once in a while. I've never seen in real life, but runner can take a lead off anywhere they want. There's no, so if anybody doesn't know what the skunk in the outfield play is, it's usually a first and third. They're trying to confuse the defense. They'll have R1 go stand next to the right fielder or go stand in the outfield when they take their lead off, right? So he is perfectly fine to be out in the outfield until somebody's trying to retire him. So somebody's trying to tag him. And as soon as somebody's trying to tag that runner, then that runner can either run straight to first base, right, or straight to second base. If he runs anywhere else, not in that path, then he would be out. So um yeah, so this was play last postseason, but it's unusual. I try to find if I just showed you normal plays, it'd be boring, right? So these are unusual plays, and when you see them in the playoffs and they're on YouTube and they're on social media and you see it, that's when their copycat stuff happens, right? And you might see something like this, but on this play, even though it looks weird, there was nothing illegal about the play. All right, we'll go on to the next one. That's the same one. All right, this is going to be on a pickoff play. It was hard. It's going to come real quick on the play. It's a pickoff play at second base, and what the call would be on this. One more time. All right, what do you got on this? Okay, we got obstruction on the fielder. Okay, no lane. That's why we have obstruction. Does he give him access to the base on this or not? Okay, so he's straddling, right? He's on a knee and on a foot. He's straddling the base. So giving access to the base, right? You so I don't know if it's an official definition, but this is the definition that's accepted is um, you can't go through somebody's space, right? So go like between their legs to have access to the base. So if you have to go through their bubble, right, then you are that's the obstruction. So here, this center, he's on either side of the base. He's his right knee's in front, but his left foot's parallel. So there, is there technically access? Yes, but you have to go through the I don't know if it's a shortstop or second baseman here. You have to go through his personal space to get there. So that's not access. So the home, but at home when a catcher would completely straddle home plate and say, "Oh, I gave him access. He can slide through my legs." That's not considered access to it. So he's blocking second base. Okay, all those are correct. The obstruction, right? What is the base award on this? What are you doing when it happens, and where are you sending this runner? Like what is the call? All right, we got the two possible, the first two. So runner goes to third, and runner stays at second. So obstruction is always a minimum of a one base award from where the runner was at the time of obstruction, right? So where's this runner at the time of obstruction? He has acquired second base. He's between second and third base, right? It doesn't matter which direction he's running. He has gained second base, right? So obstruction on this, right? Everything stops. Time, that's obstruct or see call obstruction when you got it at the end. Time, that's obstruction. R2, this runner would go to third base. Okay. Be ready for the explanation because there's going to be pushback on that more than likely, right? The arguments you'll get is he's going back to second again. So explanation is there I had obstruction the obstruction the minimum of a one base award. That's why he was awarded third base. Right? By rule, the runner gets one base beyond where he was when the obstruction occurred. You know, time in and out with the rulebook language, and it'll make your life easier, right? Simpler explanations, right? The less words, the better. But that's say just by rule, obstruction the minimum one base award. He had already acquired second. He's going to third base. I explained that. So on this, yeah. So even though pickoffs at first base, the first baseman drops their knee in front of the base. It doesn't give access. That's it's hey, that's obstruction time. You go to second base, and then just be ready for the explanation. All right, so next, what does that? All right, so another base path question here. What do you got? Umpire in the play head safe. Not a trick question. All right, so easy one on this. Did that runner go more than 3 feet from his path when the tag started? Yes. No other answer. He's out. He should be out twice on this. He did it twice. So, this runner should have been out of the base path, right? And then when it happens, you say you're out, right? Ball stays live, but you point at that runner. He was out of the base path. He's out. All right. So this one, I couldn't find the one we're arguing about on Facebook this week. But is a similar play. Is a play at first base and watch the batter runner actions here. All right, that popped up right as that happened. All right, so I'm seeing a couple things on here, and what you're looking for on this, right? So you're looking for, did the runner make an attempt to advance to second base or feign an attempt? I believe is the actual rule book question on that one, right? Or rule book wording on that one, right? So being in fair territory doesn't matter. Being in foul territory doesn't matter. Being turning to the left or turning to the right, none of that matters, right? What matters is that did that runner feign or make an attempt to advance to second base? Okay, so through that lens, watch it again. All right. So again, either way, we got some people making an attempt but not feigning an attempt. I don't have I agree with Aaron, right? He just kind of hopped and turned around. Like I don't think he there's no like his shoulders aren't moving, his body's not moving. He just kind of turned to the left, which is okay. So on this one, even though I am very much a champion of getting it out as much whenever you can, wherever the baseball gods give you a chance to do it. On this one, I don't see an attempt. I don't see a feint of an attempt. I just see a kind of a turn, right? So, but that's the criteria that you got. So did he take a step? Did he lean? Did he you know you take 2 steps? Did he do anything to make it look like he's going towards second, right? So that's what you got to judge, right?
So I got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So basically this is subjective because some umpire will say, oh, he did try to attempt it. So this is a judgment call for the umpire.
Yeah, you gotta judge was that an attempt to advance or not, right? So on the really close ones like this, yeah, it could go either way. Is what you think it is. There's some that are obvious, right? And there's no subjectivity to it because it's obvious they did make an attempt. But ultimately, it's a judgment call, yes.
Okay. I have another question. It happens to our softball game. Runner is the same situation and run like 2 steps to a second base and come back. We didn't tag them, but apparently the umpire says there's a rule change that runner have like 3 feet to run and come back without attempting it, and it's still called safe. Is that correct?
No, I don't think so. I don't think softball is any different with this rule.
That's what I thought. But
Yeah, sometimes it might have been a rule change right then because he missed it. Maybe he didn't explain the rule change, but um, there's misconceptions, right? There's different levels of rules knowledge, and there's different things. Like if you watch this video on YouTube and look at the comment section, your head will explode, right? Because there are people aggressively going any baseball, any video like this, right? The there's people aggressively saying one direction, aggressively saying the other direction, right? So watching those videos, like I said last week, it's going to make you better official the more experience you have with the situations, right? The level 1, level 2, level 3 stuff that we talked about last week. But you also have to protect yourself from the ignorance that's in the comment section. See what the play is, try to find it in the rule book, try to find citation, and then you kind of go from there. But this one, this is a pretty close one. There's no the rule is just did he make an attempt or feign an attempt, and that's all you got to go by, and you got to judge what the actions that you saw, did he do that or not, right? That's why it's important to on this play to have eyes on the first baseman. It's a good idea to if you're shallower making that call, that you're watching the runner as he goes by to see what he does. Because sometimes if you're up closer and he runs through and he runs past you, if you're watching where that ball is instead of the runner, you're not going to see. He could take 2 steps and you don't see it, and he comes back. And you call it safe because he might be behind you and you might not see it. So I'll be aware of the possibility of this happening and make sure you're in a spot where you can see it happening. All right, we got time for one more, then I got to get moving here. It's the same one, sorry. All right, so we're not going to get a good look of the actual call on this play. So to set it up, I think there's a runner on first and third. It is 4-2 with the home team batting in the bottom of the ninth, right? So this is just going to be about base awards and what happens when there's a missed base, right? So this batter is going to hit a home run, and they're going to start celebrating, and it's going to be a walk-off hit in front of their home fans here. Okay. In the end, right? So on this, we're going to kind of talk through every possible scenario, but we'll talk through first what this actual scenario in this game that happened, right? So we have R1, R3, home run, okay? R3 touches home plate. R1 touches second base, misses third base, and then touches home plate. Batter runner touches first, second, third, and home, and all the way around without missing anything. Okay. Defense appeals that R1 missed third base. Okay. You saw it. You call R1 out. How many runs scored? And why? Okay, we have a 2. So Andy, you have 2 runs, so you're saying there's 2 outs too. So 2 outs at the start. So so R1, so when I say R1, that's the runner on first base. When I say R3, that's the runner on third base. If I say R2, that's runner on second. So R1 and R3 is runner on first, runner on third. Okay, so now there's 2 outs and 0 runs. So we got the whole gamut. So we got 1, 2, and 3 so far. Okay. Who's brave enough to unmute their mic and try to explain their answer? So again, there's 2 outs. The R3 runs from third to home and touches home plate. R1 touches second base, misses third base, touches home plate. Batter runner touches first, touches second, touches third, touches home. Defense appeals that R1, the runner on first, missed third base, and you call that runner out.
Well, technically, it would only be one scoring one at that point, because even with the home run, if the R1 is out, R3 has already come in and scored. So
Okay. So why would the batter runner's run not count?
because with the R1 being called out, then that part of the inning is over.
Okay, but he already touched home plate, right? So
Right.
So you're saying it's a timing play, right? So we can piece this together, right?
Yeah.
So you ultimately have an explanation why a runner would not score on this play. So your explanation was good. Like R3 scored before that appeal play, before R1 was out, right?
Correct.
So that's spot on, 100% supported by the rule book, right? The batter scored before that out as well, right? So now we have to differentiate why one of them would score and one of them wouldn't score, right? So in the rule book, right, it says no runner can score if a previous runner makes the third out of the inning ahead of them, right? So that's the difference. So R1 is ahead of the batter runner. If they're the third out, then that following trail run can't score. So if there was 1 out in this play, the 2 runs would score a tie game, go to the next inning. This situation, and you got it right, but you just trying to help you with the explanation, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. Now that you think about it. So
Yep. So if the third out is made on a runner ahead of you, then you can't score, right? So that's why only 1 run would score, and this game goes from 5-4 home team to 4-3 visiting team winning, right? And then you can see that the coach gets ejected and it's chaos, right? That's why it's on on YouTube and not because of the ruling here. But so changing the scenario a little bit, right? If okay, home run again, R3 scores, touches plates, R2 touches second, touches third, touches home. Batter runner misses first base. Then touches second, touches third, touches home. They appeal first base that batter runner missed first base. Okay. How many runs score? The appeal happens after the whole thing. Okay. The difference there on this one, it actually would be 0, right? Because the other part of the rule is if a force out is the third out of the inning, no runs can score on the play. So that appeal is on a force out. That runner missed first base. So now that's a force out. No other runners score. Okay. Same thing as same thing where, batter touches all the bases. R2 misses second, touches third, touches home, R3 scores, right? So that force out is at second base. Okay. They appeal. That's a force, no runs scored. I don't know if I want to you can get more confusing with batters, runners passing each other and all this stuff, but I don't have, it's going to take another half hour to explain all that stuff. So just remember on this to just, if you have something like this happen, it might not be on a home run, but if you have an appeal play on multiple runner situation on a scoring play, it can get confusing. But just remember those principles, right? That it's ultimately it's a timing play when the runs happened. Um, Also, if there's a force out involved, and if the third out was made it on a one of the not the last runner in the line, so one of the first runners scoring. So all right, so Nick, so he said he saw one on social media recently. A batter hits a go-ahead solo shot in the eighth. Just before he touches home plate, his teammate high fives him a few feet away. Is that an out? No, it's not. The only way you can get it out on any of that stuff, right, is if that that teammate is physically assisting him to try to make him touch home plate when he missed it, right? He grabs him and pulls him and tries to get him to touch home plate. High five is not physically assisting or helping him. It is what it is, right? There's nothing there. There are some rules about where the players can be on a live ball. A home run is a dead ball. What I do, just as a preventive measure, I was taught early in my career is on a home run, you've got the whole team out there, right? Is just to get them back, right? Just stay back, let him get to the home plate, then do whatever you want, right? Yeah, then celebrate. Try to get him away from the whole crowding around home plates and causing that runner. So just get everybody back so you can see what's going on. If it's a walk-off home run, just make sure you see him touch home plate, or make sure that you saw him miss home plate if he's going to go there. But on a standard home run in the third inning, just push him back, try to keep him. I would say, hey, stay off the dirt, stay in the grass, right? He can take 2 steps and you can mob him after he gets there. Just keeps things from happening there, and just gets him backed up. So
What's the proper way for the defense to appeal this play? Do they tag the runner or tag the base?
so they have options. So on a home run, on a home run, um, in high school there is a way to it's called a verbal appeal. So that can be
Mhm.
done when the ball is dead, right? All they have to do is a coach or a player can come to you and say, "Hey, I'm appealing. He missed third base." Then you say, "Yeah, yes, he missed third base. He's out." They don't have to touch the base, touch the runner, any of that stuff, right?
Okay.
Um, they do have the option of um, throwing the ball to the base they traditionally see on TV, right? Um,
Right.
Pitcher steps on, put the ball in play, they step off the back, throw it to third, step on the base. They're allowed to do that. You don't see a lot of that anymore because they don't have to. They can do the verbal appeal and just tell you. Um, I'm not sure what honestly. I'm not sure what the it's a minor league game. What that minor league umpire manual says about a game-ending appeal situation if because they don't really need to put the ball back in play.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that one, but in high school itself, all they have to do is say, "Hey, he missed second base. I'm appealing," and then you can call him
Throw,
out.
throw it to the base. Okay.
Yep, they don't have to even go to the base. They could be across the field, right?
Yeah.
Um, if the coach comes out to question and he says, "Hey, you missed second base," okay, right? And you don't tell him he has to appeal it or do you want to appeal it. Don't rope him into it and help him out. But ultimately, he's got to get to a point where say, "Hey, we're appealing that he missed second base," and then you could say, "Yes, he did," and call it out. Then be ready for the storm to come from the other side. So
Yeah. Yeah. I had this experience one year. I was kind of scared to make the call, but the catcher looked at me and he seen the kid miss the home place. And I was like, I knew at that point that, we had, he was going to appeal it. And he was like, I want to appeal it. He didn't tag home. And yeah, we threw it to the base and I called the kid out. So,
yeah,
and
this I had a
there's a
game.
veteran there and he was able to back me up on that call.
Yeah,
So,
I had a game where there's two of us veterans working. It still turned into a shit show. So um, it wasn't a home run, but it was like a 2-1 or 3-2. and we had a sac fly. It wasn't a home run, but it was a runner on third, a sac fly to left field. Runner scores easily.
Mhm.
I'm on the bases. I don't see anything else, and they appeal, and my partner calls our three outs. That he left third base early. That ended
Mhm.
the game. Went from a tie game going to extra innings to this game's over, and getting MF,
Oh,
literally MF from the opposing fans that we had to walk through the gate to get to our cars. So we had to get security to get us through and keep the
oh
idiots
man.
away. I can't trust. So that was fun. That was the year that the Freeport was that was the year that I'm pretty sure they put a wanted poster of me in the Freeport post office. And like everything that went wrong that year was against Freeport, and
Oh man.
the coaches were.
So in other words, shit show would have been putting it lightly.
Oh yeah, it was a mess. That day it wasn't that day. It was like a week before that, um, where the coach wrote a 3 paragraph essay about how bad I was as an umpire. Um, then sent it to Jeff. And then yeah, and then I ended up, so like, I was even ducking the plate on these guys, like just because I just didn't want to deal with it. But yeah, that was fun. Um, those are the stories. Those are the fun stories. Which is funny. Like fast forward, to last year, my golf partner that I play doubles, match play with at the golf course, got the AD job in Freeport. So I sent him that email just to as a prep after he got it, saying, "I guess I can't work any games at your school." So last question here before I got to run here quick, but um, so if there's no appeal on this play, um, it's a home run, 3 run score, and you go home. So even if you see a missed base or any pulled, like any, or not pulled. So if you see a missed base, you eat it, right? It happens. It's not your job to announce it. Now it used to be when I was in high school and my first, I think just my first year umpiring, if you saw a missed base, you just called them out. So you get a lot of those outs. I count now how many missed bases I see, and it gets. Again, last couple of years I worked hardly any games, but when I used to work all the time, I would see there'd be the 2025 missed bases or those kind of things throughout the year, and that never get appealed because nobody's paying attention. So you're not don't call attention to it, don't do anything, just act like you touch it until somebody appeals it. All right, guys, that's all I got for this week. Next week, again, Tim Gray will be in here. I think he's leaning towards doing something about the DH rule. I'll start off with a couple of videos until 7:30 when Tim jumps in, and then he'll take over. And then Ben Williams the following week, and then stay updated for the softball meetings. Will start next week as well. I'll send an email out later this week with this recording and the information about softball. And then just stay tuned on information to get registered for the clinics and get your IHSA requirements done and get ready for the season. We're about 5.5 weeks away from the first pitch. So have a great night, and we'll see you guys next week. I'll stay on for any questions that you can.
Thanks, Alan. Quick question. Since the ball was hit to left field, the base umpire would get the runner missing second,
Yes. So
or
yeah,
missing third would be whose call on
the
this
plate
thing?
umpire. So in a 2-man system, the plate umpire is all touches and tags at third base. Even if you have to take the ball up the right field line, you still got to go for and peak. So
Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks. Have a
Yep.
good night.
Yep, you too.
Hey, Alan, I have a question.
Sure.
When should we start receiving our official assignments?
You just joined recently, right? When did you join?
This will be my first season.
Okay. Have you joined FVB yet?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
You have a login to the website?
Yes, I do.
Have you registered with IHSA?
Yes.
Okay. If you can log into the website, here, I'll share my screen quick here. So you're going to go into fevbumpire.com. Okay. Top right corner, umpire login. Okay. Once you're here, it's assignment portal and view open games. You're going to jump to this screen and you can filter if you're looking for a specific day, specific conference. Okay. So we'll just go, these are the games you really want. They're the Nick 10 games, right? And it will show you all the games that are available. As you can see, I've got a lot of work to do still. That are available in the Nick 10 conference. So if you know what conference is in your area, you can do it that way. If you want a certain school, you can pick one of those, pick a conference and pick a school. If you're looking baseball, softball, like softball, there won't be any games because we just assigned just baseball. If you want baseball games, it'll show there. The one thing that's not working that I noticed is the game type. If you do high school games, then it doesn't show up for some reason. So leave that one at all and then use the other filters and it will show you what games you want, what games are available. If I want this game, okay, I want to work March 17th at Belvedere High School for a fresh soft game. Okay, I click that and click request open games. You can put notes in there if you want and click continue. It'll go for a little bit. There's an little AI action going on in the background. That's been submitted. I get an email saying that somebody requested a game, and I go in there and approve it or did not. So the games are I update as I people request games. I go in there and assign them and send them. There's a little process that we do on the website to approve those. But if it's been overnight, there might be two people request the same game, so we got to go game by game and see. And we look at if you're working at the same school 20 times, we kind of try to shy away from some of that stuff. But most of the time, if you request a game on there, the assigner for that game will go and approve it. So there's three of us now, but it's all coded based on what game you select and what team's playing there, or what game that is for which assigner gets the email, and they'll be usually within 24 hours you'll know one way or the other which game you get. You can pick as many games as you want there, so you can start looking in. As a first year official, I would just do freshman games, fresh off games to start. And then, as you go, you can start picking up JV and, sophomore and all the different, the different levels that are out there. But if you're, I just say ready and FVB member are ready, you can go in there and start requesting games tonight if you wanted to. Make sure anything you request that you are able to work. It's a contract for you to take that game. So don't take the game